What is up, everybody? Hopefully you're doing well. I've got a special treat for the Dune Awakening fans out there because I got to take part in a really special Q&A today with Joel Bylos, who is the Chief Creative Officer for Funcom and the Creative Director on Dune Awakening, and Ole-Andreas Haley, who is the lead producer on Dune Awakening. So I've been a part of the closed beta community now for about a year and a half as one of the content creators who were brought on board to do testing and do special videos and stuff. And I've covered I think we're over 80 videos in my Dune Awakening playlist now from the closed beta, the beta preview event in April, the beta weekend, and beyond. And today, they brought in Joel and Ole to sit down with those of us who are content creators for Funcom in the closed beta to do a special Q&A. And we got to ask questions for about an hour, and these are a lot of things that are kind of off the book. Like it's not stuff that's part of the official FAQs, the official facts for the game. So it's like extra tidbits for things that are coming down the pipeline. I have been given permission to share these things, and I want to give a shout out as well to. I got to go into the Discord here really quick because I'm horrible with names. Raccoonvar, who actually put together a list of all of the questions that were asked and were answered, and I'm going to go down through that list and give you guys a glimpse at some more information about Dune Awakening, some of the sort of the behind the scenes information that we got today, going deep into all things Dune Awakening. So, first off, I had asked a question regarding what is the story beyond what we're being shown in Dune Awakening, because Dune Awakening takes place in Arrakis, but for those of us who are lore fans, who love the books and who have watched the films and the TV show. The books and the TV show have only ever really shown Dune, like Arrakis. And in the books, there's a lot more than Arrakis. We have a lot of other planets. We've had glimpses of those planets in films and TV adaptations, but we've never like gone deep on that. So Joel revealed today that what they have in mind for Dune is a 10-year storyline, and what we're starting with is Arrakis. Of course, the first couple of years are going to be focused on Arrakis because they have plenty of stuff that they can do on the planet of Arrakis, but they do have plans to go off Arrakis and do other things on other planets as the game continues to expand beyond the first couple of years. Obviously, no timeline on any of that. It's just confirmation that they have a 10-year plan and they do plan on going other places than just Arrakis as we get deeper into the story that they are sharing here with us as part of the unique Dune alternate timeline that they have with Dune Awakening, because they are doing something that's a little bit different here than the books. They confirmed today that along with the DLC, which are already planned out, there's 4 DLC. They're a part of the Ultimate Edition that you can pre-order today over on Steam. It's being called a Season Pass, because that's the way Steam markets it, or bundles it, I should say. Along with that, Joel said that the story and content with the DLC are optional things, but that the main story of the game is going to be included in free updates that are coming periodically as the game continues to evolve. So we have the base storyline that we have played through in multiple formats. You've seen me play through that. I've tried not to spoil that too much for myself because I'm waiting for the full release of the game. But we got confirmation today that the storyline of the game will be continuing beyond the base game in free updates that will be happening in between the DLCs. So they're separate story patches outside of the DLCs that continue the main story of the game, which is awesome to hear. The addition of the tank vehicle will be determined later on. The third faction, which is rumored, there's no confirmation of what the third faction is. I think everyone wants it to be the Fremen. Everyone assumes it's going to be the Fremen. No one knows for sure what it is. There's more information on that coming in the pipeline. They're not ready to reveal it yet, but we did get confirmation today that not only, because this was part of the question that I had asked, which was the third faction coming down the pipeline, will we need to create a brand new character to join that faction, or will we be able to join that faction with our existing character? And we got confirmation from Joel that you will be able to betray your current faction to join that faction the same way you can betray your faction and join another faction in the game right now. So as it stands right now, if you start off as an Atreides and then go join the Harkonnen, or vice versa, you will betray your original faction. And once you do that, there is no going back from that. It's because neither the Duke nor the Baron are going to accept traitors to come back. So if you make the decision to betray the faction that you've allied yourself with in the beginning, you could do that, but it's a one-way ticket. You can't go back from that. So you'll be able to go from Atreides to Harkonnen, or from Harkonnen to Atreides, and then whenever the third faction becomes available, if you choose to do so and you want to join that third faction, you can then betray whatever faction you're with and go join that faction as well. One of the changes that is coming down the pipeline and is going to be coming to one of the upcoming patches, um, I believe they said next week. I forget the timeline on this, and it's not in the notes here. But they did say it's coming to one of the. It's an update that's coming really quick. You're now going to be able to. They're working on adding more ways to join up with your friends and other places. And one of the things they've done is now you'll be able to join on your world server. Any of the sietches on your world server, there will be a drop down now that you can choose to go visit those sietches, even if you don't have any friends on those sietches. So as long as that sietch is within the umbrella of your world server, you will be able to go visit those at any point in time, even if you don't have friends on those servers. And that's part of the changes that they're putting in the background to allow for more flexibility to make sure that more people are getting together and being able to join up with their friends and go and visit other sietches and things of that nature. We have confirmation that more hotbar slots may be coming down the line, but it is absolutely against their vision to allow loadouts of any kind. Because what they don't want is you to be out there harvesting spice, as an example, or on a harvesting run, and you see some silhouettes coming up over the horizon, and they don't want you to be able to instantly hit a button and switch to a combat spec set of gear. You need to be making a conscious decision about what you are going out to do. So if you're going out to do a harvesting run, then you're in your still suit and you're prepared for this, the sun and the desert, and you're out there exploring and harvesting. If you're going into combat, then you wear appropriate combat gear. But they want there to be a conscious decision. They said this fits into the lore of the Dune universe, so they want people to be making deliberate choices on what they're doing without having loadouts. So loadouts are not part of what they have in mind for the Spirit of Dune. So don't anticipate ever seeing loadouts coming at any point in time to be able to switch between gear sets quickly and easily. The game is confirmed to run on the Steam Deck at launch with, it says here, the low-end laptop mode from Conan. Basically, and they've got, I believe they mentioned today, they have a couple of different modes, like a low end and a normal mode for the Steam Deck. There was discussion that there were quite a few people who were playing on potato machines over the Dune Awakening beta weekend, and you of course can check out the benchmark tool that's available on Steam right now. But the one thing is, they were urging people in today's Q&A, don't try to play the game with an old school hard drive. You need to have a solid state drive, because the loading times and it's just chunky, it's laggy, things aren't loading. You don't want to try to play this game without a solid state drive. So those of you who have like 10-year-old technology, you are going to have to, probably think about getting some upgrades if you want to get your best experience out of Dune Awakening. There will be more keybinds available at launch, and then additional keybinds will be coming in a patch after launch. This is for the keyboard. I got confirmation because I asked a question about the controller today, because I play with the controller. There are no plans to allow for keybinding of the controllers at launch, but when they get around to the console versions of the game being launched, they will be adding in or looking at having the ability to do keybinds for the controllers then. But because they're focused on the PC launch right now, they're not going to be worrying about having the ability to switch around your keybinds. So it's whatever the controller defaults are, what those are going to be. Auto run is confirmed for I believe they said the first patch. Don't quote me on that, but it's one of the patches coming after launch. Auto run will be coming in that patch, but auto run is not making it in for the launch patch. There was a question asked about turrets, because there have been turrets seen in a trailer. Joel said those are an old marketing image that has they've been trying to get the marketing team to stop using. I guess turrets are no longer in the game, and there had been some players asking about turrets. They may make a return at some point, but turrets are not something that we'll be seeing as player usable in the game. In-game events, he said, look at the Landsrad and the Coriolis Storm as sort of like the umbrella underneath which there are all of these activities that guilds will be able to participate in every single week. The weekly storm is there so that players will basically every single week you'll be going out to scan the deep desert, have a team that goes out and scans, have a team that sets up the base, have a team that goes out and harvests the spice, with everybody always sort of rushing to try to get the most votes possible for the Landsrad by the end of the week, which is, I believe, on Sundays. And so there are a lot of different ways that guilds can participate. There will be a lot of different ways that guilds can choose to have teams of people doing things. And because it's random every single week, those things are constantly changing. Guilds will be constantly doing different things. Sometimes those things may be more PvP focused. Sometimes those things might be more PvE focused, but those objectives are going to be there on a rotating basis that will constantly be changing, which will keep players on their toes and keep the guilds constantly doing new things each week. And this is the end game beyond the storyline of the game. They have made some changes to the melee combat, which will be seen, I believe they said, in the beta patch this week, related to changes to help with the stun locking issues. So there's some new combat stuff coming for melee. They're looking at. I can skip over that one because that's more for just content creators. Everything. Oh, this was a great question. So someone had asked about the ability to, for example, because private servers are coming at some point, but people had asked about like being able to set up specific server areas and things for friends. But because they've built this game to be server-side authoritative, it's a little bit different than like Conan Exiles was. So there's complexities here beyond the Conan Exiles way of doing things, because that was the Joel specific setting. Conan Exiles, they literally had a single player version of the game, which allowed people to go in and do lots of weird things to it and cheat essentially, because you could hack that single player side of things. But because this is all authoritative on the server side, there you won't be able to see that. So that's something to pay attention to. There's stamina changes coming in combat, including a second wind system that will let you dash out of crowd control. Heavy and slow attacks are separated now. We're going to see some of the testing coming for that soon. There will be some scrap vehicles around, but they have moved a lot of the scrap vehicles in the first area of the game, such as the Ornithopter. This is an interesting thing to hear Joel talk about. So, the original idea, before they have the vehicle recall tool, these scrap vehicles that are in the Haga Basin were there so that if you lost your bike or you got eaten by a worm, you would be able to go out and find another vehicle and be able to. I gotta make sure that I don't roll backwards on top of a cat. They wanted players to be able to find backup vehicles, but what they found is that people were not using those vehicles as backup vehicles. Instead, what they found was that people were immediately beelining for those vehicles, such as the Ornithopter, and within less than 2 hours already being in the deep desert. And they don't want players rushing to the deep desert. They want players to go through the progression grind of going through the tiers and working their way up to the deep desert. So for that reason, they have removed the Ornithopter and some of the scrap vehicles from the Haga Basin starting area so that players don't use those as a progression skipping tool, because they're literally using those to sort of cheat and skip past progression. Quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand. They want players to actually play the game, engage in the content, work their way through the tiers, and build their way up to the deep desert, and not just rush there using that as a gimmick tool. Guild permissions for housing are being worked on because they are a little bit wonky right now. As far as modding goes, this was a really interesting because I don't do mods, but I guess mods are a big deal in Conan. And some players love mods. Joel specifically said they don't own this IP, whereas with Conan they own the IP. So in this case, the Herbert, the Herbert family, who still owns, as I understand it, the or it's legendary. I forget exactly, but they are not comfortable with those assets being used for mods because they are still very much making movies. They have the Dune Prophecy TV show. It's a very active intellectual property that's being used for many, many things. And so, in this case, Funcom does not own the rights to Dune, so they are not allowed to do modding in the same way they can do with Conan. So players should not expect to see modding anytime soon because Funcom does not own any of the rights, and so modding is sort of off the table because the IP owners don't want to open that up to people doing weird, nasty things that people will do with when they mod. um, um, I had asked a question about specifically interior decorations. Right now, it's all just freeform placement, which for people like me who are like, I spent many years in construction, and so when I see lines, I want things to be symmetrical. I'm looking for straight lines, plumb lines, and there's no snapping tools when you're doing interior decoration right now. So when you're trying to place lamps, chairs, wall hangings. There's nothing there to guide you, so it's all freeform placement. So I had asked about a snapping tool, and that was something that they said they're intrigued at looking into for building later on down the road. So that's something that's a possibility in terms of continuing to flesh out the base building system. Um, After launch, we're going to get a patch that will allow for character recustomization as well as additional free character add-ons like more ink for tattoos, more hairstyles, and etc. Um, Trade from vehicles inventory will be coming later. Um, there was another thing here. I don't see it on the list, and I gotta scroll back. I don't remember what it was. I'm gonna go into the Q&A here and see if I can't find the other last thing. We had about an hour today, so it was pretty good to go through and listen to things from Joel and Ole's perspectives. I know like the auto run thing was something they decided to push back because they wanted to do some reworking of the melee combat system, and that was a priority as opposed to an auto run. Okay, here. Private servers are coming. This was an interesting thing to me. They don't have a timeline on when there is going to be more information, but they did say soon-ish. So we should be getting some more information in the near future about private servers. So I know that's a big thing for some people because private servers are a big deal with Conan Exiles, but because they've built Dune Awakening so differently. By the way, if you guys are hearing this crazy noise, it's because my cat is down here. Lucas is down here just destroying. I don't know if you can see that. He just loves to destroy cardboard boxes, and so he's literally just sitting there chewing chunks of that cardboard box off and throwing them on the floor. If you guys can see that. he's I don't know if you can hear that in the mic, but he's just like crunk, crunk, crunk. Yes, you're bored. He's mad because I'm not paying attention to him. So because this game has not been built with a single player mode in mind like Conan Exiles did, it's a little bit different here because this is meant to be played in a continual online space. I'm gonna scroll up here and make sure I didn't um, miss anything. We do have rough dates for the DLCs. I had asked a question for this, and I didn't realize this was already up on the Steam page. The Wildlife of Arrakis, which is a cosmetic DLC that's going to be available at launch. Lost Harvest is scheduled for October to December 2025 with side stories and cosmetics. Raiders of the Broken Lands is January to March of 2026, has story and cosmetics. And the Water Wars is June to 2026, with story and cosmetics coming down the pipeline. Those are the four currently known DLCs that you get when you make your Ultimate Edition purchase. Um, yeah. He also said there was a question related to how to do base raiding in the deep desert, and Joel specifically said if you've read the first book, at the end of the first book, there's a big clue on how you'll be able to take down the shields of an enemy base. And for those of you who are going to be involved in guild versus guild PvP in the deep desert and you want to know how to do base raids and take out another player's base and take out their shields and raid their base, you need to read the first book and specifically pay attention to the end. I know what he's talking about. I won't be participating in PvP, but I know what he's talking about, and it's really cool if players could pull this off. It's going to be really awesome because he literally said you're going to have to figure out how to do it, but once you do, you will absolutely be able to raid other players' bases, take their shields down, and get in there, and it'll be full-on PvP war. So for those of you who are interested in doing that, it's really exciting. I was really also interesting to hear Joel say that he has been spending most of his time playing solo, along with playing with a couple of the managers from time to time. And so he, like, when we were discussing like permissions on guild housing, he was like, I actually don't have that much information. And so Ole was more answering questions about the guild housing because, or the just the permissions on housing, and because I think that's a really interesting thing to note because I've been playing my journey almost entirely solo as well, and I want to reiterate to the players who are out there listening or maybe listening to the watching this for the first time, wondering what Dune Awakening is because it's being marketed as a multiplayer game. You can absolutely play solo. You can absolutely play by yourself, PvE. You don't have to participate in PvP. That's all entirely optional. Um, the entire storyline of this game is something you can do by yourself. Excuse me. And I've been having a hell of a good time. I have specifically and purposefully not spoiled anything beyond Trial 4 for myself in closed beta. I've been really just waiting for launch, and we're here. No more character wipes. Everything's ready to go. June 5th, we got the announcement today about the with the infographic with the release times. We'll be able to preload the game on June 4th, and then we will be starting our Dune Awakening adventure on June 5th at 8 a.m. Central, bright and early. So we'll be starting. My days always start about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. So we'll start with something else, probably Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon, unless we wrap that up by then. And then we'll be moving into Dune Awakening. What's up, buddy? Do you want to come over here and say hi to everybody while we wind down here? Come here. You're a good boy. Oh, you thought I still had the pin. He's a big boy. Yeah. What do you want? What are you doing? You look like a desert cat. You look like a sand cat. Where are you going? What are you doing? You can eat the microphone. You're a big boy. Are you a big boy? Yes, you are. Yeah. All right, guys, that's it. That was a special Q&A today. So shout out to Joel and Ole for taking the time to sit down with those of us who are a part of the content creator team who have been working on all this fun stuff with Funcom over the past time. I've been a part of it for like a year and a half. There are other people that have been in that group for a couple of years who have been big into the Dune Awakening, um, Conan Exiles side of things. I was not big into Conan Exiles, so I came in last year at some point. Um, uh, I can't remember now. It's been a while. Maybe it's not even been a year and a half. I'm horrible with timelines. Um, but I've had a lot of fun, and it's been a pleasure to be a part of this. And it's really cool to finally be able to get to the point where we're able to talk about things and the game to go live. And again, shout out to those guys for sitting down with us today and letting us put this Q&A out there for everybody to read through and watch on YouTube. And I will catch everybody next week because we're going to be starting our adventure on June 5th. So hopefully we'll see you on the sands of Arrakis. Don't forget, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Daily streams at around 5 a.m. Central on YouTube and Twitch. Lucas, what are you doing? You want to say hi one more time to everybody? Yeah? That mess you left behind me on the floor? And the other bed that your brother's sleeping on? Now I gotta go clean all that up. Dirty boy. Alright, see you guys tomorrow.